Hello, hello! Welcome to the stream. David Snowpick here from Snowpick Games. Welcome, Osaki, Frying Pan, Harry Elbon YouTube. Yo, what up? I didn't get a chance to see everyone's character on the screen. Harry's got a balding, bearded guy with I can't tell if it's a sword, like a really funny shaped sword, like a scimitar or a staff, but looks cool. Hey, Andrew Slay, welcome to the stream. I've got the jester with the big white beard. Ricardo, welcome to the stream. Ricardo is one of the only regular watchers of my stream who I believe is excited about physics streams. Thanks for coming and thanks for being excited about the thing I want to do. Just like looking at the statistics, it is very, very clear from the YouTube statistics that my streams that involve doing physics engine stuff are less popular than the other streams. Someone else jumped in here. Smoloki, welcome to the stream. You are rocking a beard, a dress, and a shield. I like it. Yeah. Smoloki's hoping for a cool character. You definitely got a very interesting character. I cannot imagine a more interesting combination of bald, beard, dress, and shield. Like that the RNG was really looking out for you that time. The Clean, welcome to the stream. Hand pink waving. That's all I get on this end. I don't know which. I guess that was YouTube. I hope it looks cool on YouTube. Oh, I didn't actually open up. I usually open up the YouTube studio end on mine because sometimes we have like YouTube specific problems. Let me get that rolling. Anyway, how is everyone doing today? I am tired. I have had a very, very exhausting week personally, but otherwise good. Good things have been happening. I've got my new PC coming on Monday. I'm super excited about that. I'll finally be able to stick my 4070 Ti in there, which my current PC power supply couldn't handle it, so I figured it was time to upgrade my current computer. My PC is actually even older than my current computer. My PC is like 10 years old or something, but the main machine I use, this beast of a laptop, is from, I think, it was either late 2016 or early 2017. So it's about time to upgrade, and I'm excited for that. And I've been getting ready. Unlike a normal human being who, I don't know what they would do to get ready for a new computer, I decided to build a Raspberry Pi NAS, network attached storage. You can sort of see in the camera the drives hanging out over here. It's these two 1 terabyte SSDs. I have them software RAID mirroring. Anyway, I'm like transferring all of my files that I know I'm going to want on that computer from this computer to the NAS. And then when the other computer shows up, I can just zip them back over. I'm also setting up like this whole crazy syncing and backup scheme because I don't know. I'm a tech person. That's what I do. Anyone else doing any cool Raspberry Pi stuff? I know it's like a weird time. Like I really want to make like a Raspberry Pi Kubernetes cluster, but the price of Raspberry Pis right now is insane. Like a Raspberry Pi that should cost like $70 costs like $200. So I just have the two Pis from earlier eras that I'm repurposing. Hey Tengu, awesome. Yeah, what we're doing today actually does relate to rollback. We've been doing VR stuff lately. But yeah, we're working on, today we're going to be working on SG Physics 2D, which is my deterministic 2D physics engine that I created originally to work with the rollback add-on for my Retro Tank Party game, which was kind of like the first use of the rollback add-on. And today we're going to be working on porting it to Godot 4, which is exciting. The other thing that I've been busy with is just like Godot 4 stuff. I don't know if everyone is quite prepared for this, but Godot 4.0 is going to be releasing very soon. And it has me super nervous. But there's actually not that much more for me to do. Like all the stuff I'm responsible for is in an okay enough place that I don't have to like rush and get stuff done. Ricardo, man, the physics things that you guys are working on, you guys are going to be real busy the next couple of weeks. But, you know, it's important work. It just, oh man, I wish we had more time. I wish we had more time between now and the 4.0 stable release. But it is what it is. It's going to be great. 4.1 is going to be even greater. Life is exciting. Harry says, I sparred level time one day, hadn't had a chance to pick a raspberry myself due to the cost. Yeah, the cost is stupid. Like, I have a Pi Zero that I'm using in like this little Game Boy case to play like retro emulator games. It's super cool. That thing cost me like, I don't know, $15 or something, maybe even less. Like it was super cheap. And like now, like a Pi 4B, which should be I think $70, costs like $200. It's dumb. It like defeats the whole point. Supposedly in the second half of this year, they're gonna go back to their normal prices, and then I'm just gonna stock up. I'm gonna buy like 10 for all my crazy projects. I used to rock Raspberry Pi to drive my 3D printer. It turned out to be not useful enough to wrangle with it. Oh, interesting. Yeah, the thing that I like about the Pis is that they're low power and low footprint, and I can just like stack them up in a corner. Back in like the late 90s, early 2000s, I used to take like old PCs. There was like this weird period of time when like everyone was upgrading, and there were like businesses and schools and whatever like throwing out their old PCs, and they had trouble throwing them out because there's like environmental requirements. You can't just dump them in a dumpster. So I would get in touch with them and just like go pick up like 20 old PCs or something from some business or a school or whatever that was getting rid of them. And then I would make those into like little servers or like whatever things around my apartment. And it was super fun. But you have these huge honking things. And I had like 3 servers like on their sides slid under my bed. And they're not like, you know, U form factors like you would put in here. They're like full-size towers and super noisy. So the Pis are great because I get to do that same kind of stuff that I loved doing with those old PCs, you know, 20 years ago. But now it's a little tiny thing this big, and it makes practically no noise and takes so little power, and I can stack 10 of them up or whatever. Of course, I only have 2. I only have the 2 Pis because I didn't think that they were going to suddenly, you know, get real expensive. Anyway, what is everyone saying? Hello, collection of consonants from Twitch. Oh, you are a spam. Collection of consonants is going to be gone. You got a cool character. I'm sorry, but you are getting tossed here. And I can't ban you from this interface. Asterion, welcome to the stream. Oh, you got a cool character. You got like the studded armor and kind of a fro going. Looking good. Oh, I didn't even see the clean. Got an orc with a tall shield and a mohawk. That's also pretty nice. So what is Asterion saying? Got a Miyu Mini for retro gaming. It's a cute little device. I haven't heard of that one. There's so much cool stuff. I was watching a video this morning about someone showing off different Commodore 64, like new remade Commodore 64 motherboards. I'm like, oh, I want one of those too. There's just so much cool stuff. Bots. No. Raspberry Pi Wise, I was fortunate enough to buy mine when they were still in stock as a version 1B and a version 3, found in a recycling bin. A 4 and a 400? What's a 400? I'm not familiar with that. Hey, 9x7x did something similar. I had stacks of Pentium 4s. Yeah, so I'm talking about, for me, in my heyday, this was way before Pentium 4s, man. We're talking these old computers were Pentium 1 at best, but a lot of like 386s and stuff too. Yeah, I mean, I was running whatever version of Linux would have been modern back then, Linux 2.0 or 2.2. And you know, booting everything off of I would like have like floppy drives, like the whole operating system would be on a single floppy disk and it'd boot off of that because there's no SD cards like these kids today. But it's the same principle, right? What did I actually do with those servers? So different things. I mean, I know I ran I had like one was set up as a router. So it was, you know, Linux with, what would it be, IP FW admin for Linux 2.0? That would have been before IP chains and IP tables being a router. And then I would have like some service being like giving a DNS name to my IP. And then I would have like another machine that was like a FTP server with like the biggest drives that I had at the time, which was probably like 200 megs or something. And different things. I had a web server. So one of the coolest things that we did was we set up a lot of them as X terminals. So like they were dumb terminals that would run just an X server and would have, you know, the screen and the keyboard and the mouse or whatever. And I set up as many of them as I could around my apartment, like 5, right? Because it was a very big apartment, and so they were sitting everywhere. On every flat surface, we had one of these old computers turned into an X terminal. And then in the basement, I had like a modern computer, like a nice computer that would actually act as the you know, like the server that you would be actually logging into. So we had this one like really powerful machine powering all these little desktop machines that like theoretically people who came over to my house could use, which I don't know if anyone really used them, but it was super fun to build and put them together. What else did we do? That's like all the stuff that's coming to mind at the moment. But you always think of something, and you always have to put it on a new machine because that's what you do for fun. So I probably had like an LDAP server. What's not LDAP, but what's like the Unixy thing that you use when you're too lazy to set up LDAP? Oh, geez, I can't remember the name of it. Anyway, lots of stuff. Well, I'm missing some comments here. Out of interest, okay, Smokey, I'm trying to come up with excuses for more Raspberry Pis. Use 3 for Octoprint, 4 for a Kodi box. Yeah, I want to set up a Kodi box by my TV. Not that I don't have enough things connected to my TV, but the 400 desktop thing. Okay, so the 400 is the keyboard version of the 4. Interesting. Emergency mumble server. Oh man. Nerd life, nerd living. Yeah, I had a mumble server. I didn't run it out of my home. That would have been a later era. 10 years ago, I did like language learning things, which some of the people here may be familiar with. These things I used to do, and we would do like a language exchange and like different kind of things on our private mumble server. Anywho, thanks for coming, everybody. It's great to see all of you. Today, like I said, we're going to be working on getting SG Physics 2D working in Godot 4. I've been kind of working on this in the background for the last 2-ish weeks. Not super hardcore. I've maybe put like, I don't know, 8 hours into it total over the last 2 weeks. And we are still at a relatively early stage. The first step was just kind of reorganizing the source code so that I could build both the Godot 3 and Godot 4 version from the same source. I could have done a thing where there's like a Godot 3 branch and a Godot 4 branch, but for this I wanted to have them both just build from the same source tree. The reason for that is that the physics engine basically has 2 parts. There's an internal part and a interfacing with Godot part, and my thinking is we'll have the internal part be shared, and then there's be the Godot 3 part here and the Godot 4 part over there, and you can just kind of, you know, build the Godot 4 part out of the internal plus the Godot 4 bindings, and then the Godot 3 part out of the internal part and the Godot 3 bindings. And part of getting that to work was I had to actually remove some of the Godot stuff that had snuck into the internal part. For whatever reason, I decided to use like the container classes from Godot, so like vector and list and hash map and whatever inside the internal part, even though there was no reason for that. I don't know, I just did it. So I replaced all of those things, all of those Godot references with things from STL or their own little thing, with like one tiny exception. I think if we go look, or no, I think it's actually included in fixed number internal. I'm using the error macros from Godot, so I just really like being able to do like the here we can see a ton of some of them in the SG Physics 2D. These like fail conv things. They are nice. They're convenient. I could have made up some of my own ones, but I don't know. I went through. I went for the approach of having this one bit of Godot sneaking into the internals, and of course we have to get them from a different place depending on whether we're using GDExtension for Godot 4 or we're being compiled as a Godot module for Godot 3. And that is like the most exciting difference about the Godot 3 and Godot 4 version, at least so far, is that in Godot 3, SG Physics 2D is a Godot module, which means you need to compile your own custom build of Godot to use it, whereas with GDExtension, you will be able to just download the SO or DLL or dilib, whatever the macOS thing is, and drop it in there and run. So, Asterion, something I would really like to do at some point is make a setup for Godot for working compile games for the Miu Mini. I'm not that much of an expert, so small chances. So on my Raspberry Pi Zero, I actually was able to get some of my Godot games running on it using who made that like low-end Pi port? It's like with an F, F something. If someone knows what it is, throw it out there. Or I know how I can figure out what it is. The build for it is in my Monster Evolution game. Let's go look at the GitLab CI YAML. And the Pi build does FRT. It's a Godot platform for low-end Pis. You can, of course, run normal Godot on low-end Pis. You just have to build it for higher-end Pis. You just have to build it for ARM64, ARM32, or whatever. But the low-end ones, like the Pi Zero, do need a separate platform. And so I'm able to play them on my little thing. Tenku, man, I wish I was a comedy use program in C++. I'm only comfortable with using Rust because the build system was literally cargo build. So yeah, I wish I was doing more stuff with Rust, man. We can cross envy each other. Rust seems really cool, and I haven't done very much with it, but I really think it's cool, and I want to spend some more time doing it. I've done like Project Euler problems, and like I did do like a test project with Godot with Rust just to like see what it was like. But yeah, C++ is a weird beast. The getting dependencies story is bad. The build story, pretty bad. But I don't know, it's useful. I do look forward to the days that Rust takes over more and more of the world, and we can do things in a maybe more developer convenient way. But I don't know, C++ is what it is. I've been using it for a long time, since the 90s. What is Hewlett? The clean? Was that maybe guessing the thing I was talking about? Gleegleb, welcome to the stream. Thanks for coming. What kind of character did you get, Gleegleb? Oh, you got like a orc with maybe that could be blacksmith kind of garb, and the balding side hair thing I got going on in real life. Yeah, thanks for coming, Asterion. It's an ARM machine, so an RPi build might work. Yeah, maybe. It's cool to have both Godot 3 and Godot 4 bindings the same tree. Why not use the Godot containers there? Are they that different between versions? I thought they both had vector T at least. I mean, yes. I could do the exact same thing that I'm doing here for the Godot containers. I could, like, any differences that were there, I could, you know, do preprocessor stuff, if defs, and paper over them. And there is an argument for using the Godot containers. There are a couple of places now where I have to, in the binding between Godot and the internal engine, I have to actually like copy the data from the Godot container into the STL container, which is less efficient theoretically. But I kind of just like the idea of separating them. It would be interesting if one day the internal SG Physics 2D could be bound to other game engines. I have exactly 0 plans to do that. But it would be cool to say, like, take the exact same internals, bind it to, I don't know, what are some other game engines we could do? Like, nothing's coming to mind for some reason. But something else that, you know, we can extend in C and C++. But I don't know. I certainly could have continued using the Godot containers. Frying Pan, I finally get to use hacks with Godot 4, which is cool. Yeah, we could maybe, if there's another game engine that's built with hacks that's not Godot, we could bind it to that, maybe. I don't know. So where do we stand? We stand at the point where I set up the GDExtension boilerplate, and it does actually like attempt to compile the GDExtension stuff. I copy-pasted the Godot 3 binding code, and I've been progressively modifying it to get it to compile. So we're at that stage. We're at the try to compile, it errors, and we go in and fix things till it works. So the big picture here is that we keep doing this till compiles. We test out that we have it working basically the same as in Godot 3, and then the real fun starts. We start modifying it to be more Godot 4-ish. So one of the things that has bothered me forever in SGPhysics 2D is that our vector type is a reference. And it makes life so much harder than it needs to be. But the vector type in Godot 3, the only vector type, is floating point. And we need an integer vector. Well, variants can now be vector 2i's or vector 3i's in Godot 4. So we can go through, kill our vector type. We'll have to move its functions somewhere else because, you know, the vector 2i will store the integers for us, but, you know, all of the methods that we currently have on, where is this, SG vector 2, well, yeah, we'll just look at the Godot bound version. You know, we have to have methods for multiplying and dividing fixed point vectors, you know, normalizing them, getting their length, distance, angle, rotation, interpolation, the sliding, bouncing, reflecting. All of those methods need to live somewhere, right? And if we're not defining our own class for that, our own ref counted class, we're going to have to make like a singleton, maybe, that has the methods that just take the vector in as the first argument to take over that. But I think even though that will be slightly less convenient, I think it will be more convenient overall to not have to worry about copying vectors so that when you change one later, it doesn't, you know, because it's a reference, modify the earlier one unexpectedly. Life will just be so much better being able to use the vector 2i type. Also, we have our own kinematic body, static body, etc. Nodes for SGPhysics 2D. We want them to look like the Godot 4 versions of those. So kinematic body is going to become character body, and we'll, you know, rearrange all the methods and properties and stuff to be similar to the Godot 4 version, which will be super fun. Ogre 3D, yes, yes, we will port SGPhysics 2D to Ogre 3D. Maybe I won't. Maybe someone else will. That'd be so cool. But yeah. So we're at the point of trying to get this to compile, run, and then we'll start modifying it to be more Godot 4-ish. I don't know how far we're going to get today on stream, and I kind of have a hard cutoff, unfortunately, at 11. I know sometimes we'll go a little bit over, but I have a meeting right at 11 a.m. So yeah, let's see what we can get done in the next hour and 37 minutes. Or yes, mathematics. I'm okay with them, I think, numbers. All right, so before the stream, I told it to compile, and we hit a bunch of errors. So the first one is bringing us up to SG Collision Shape 2D, which I believe has all of our shape resources. And I have to make sure I'm looking at the Godot 4 version in here. So many times while I've been working on this, I've like gone and started editing the Godot 3 version of the file, and then yeah. Okay, so namespace Godot has no member list. What? That's a very confusing error. Okay, what is the error from the compiler though? Static create invalid new expression of abstract class SG shape 2D invalid new expression. Okay, so I might be in the wrong file. Or looking at the wrong message here. Okay, here we go. So the error that we're getting while compiling SG area 2D is that up here in SG, oh, we're even in a different place, SG shapes 2D. Yes, this obj_save type macro, is that even a thing in GDExtension and Godot 4? I am not sure at all. Tenku, can't you directly click the file link in the terminal? I can, you are right. Why didn't I do that? I could have just clicked that, been right here. I don't know. I do things inefficiently sometimes. It's good to have you guys keeping me honest through the stream. GleeGleb, a bit off topic. Does other multiplayer games or game engines, maybe Unity, handle physics synchronizations? So there's a lot of possible ways to handle physics over the network. The way that SGPhysics2D handles it is by just being completely deterministic, or at least, I mean, it is deterministic if you use it correctly. There are things you could do with it that would turn out to be not deterministic, but it is at its core deterministic, and if you use it correctly, it will be deterministic. There are other approaches, though. You can periodically sync physics state if you're using a synchronization technique that lets you be a little bit loose and can let things get a little bit out of sync and then periodically sync back up. Rollback, like lockstep style rollback that is used in fighting games, like is implemented in my Godot rollback netcode add-on, everything has to be deterministic. You can't get loose. You can't have things be off for a couple of frames and then resync. That would be a different network synchronization technique, which is also totally valid. Like, that is a valid way to do things as well, but with the sort of mix of techniques that we're doing here, you can't. Everything has to be fully deterministic. But yeah, there's a couple of different ways. If you have an authoritative server, one common way is that the server is running the definitive authoritative physics, and the clients are predicting. It's okay if they get a little off because whatever their network synchronization tick, which could be like 20 FPS or something, that comes down and then resyncs them back up with the server. And then that's fine. They're running the game at 60 FPS, so they get to control things for those 2 in between frames, and then that 3rd frame comes and gets them up to sync. So there's a lot of different techniques. Okay, so back to the matter at hand. So what I usually do when I don't know the answer to questions like this is I try to find examples, particularly with GDExtension, because there isn't a lot of docs. And the 2 primary examples that I've been using, 2 primary references, I guess I should say, is the WebRTC native, which probably doesn't define any resources, but we'll go take a look, and Ricardo's Box2D GDExtension, which may have some resources in it. We will quick see. It looks like no. All right, so if neither have any resources, we'll try deleting the macro and just see if it works. That is the other option. Yeah. Okay, well, we'll try it. Obsave type. We don't need you, I hope. All right, next error. Yeah, we have a virtual method in SG shape2D. I've been getting the impression while working with GDExtension that you cannot bind any pure abstract classes, that it needs to be able to construct it with just like the default constructor, no arguments, for every single class in order to bind it. So I think what we have to do is make shape2D not be fully abstract. Member function declared an override does not actually override a base member. That's interesting. Well, we have another obsave. We'll kill that. Let's actually just look for all of those. Obsave type. Obsave type. And not only in Godot CPP. Oof, but don't show me the Godot 3 stuff. Let me just see. Source SG Physics 2D Godot 4. Okay. Get rid of all these. They're all in the same file, so I guess I didn't need to do the full source code search there. And let's look for our fully virtual method here. I think we're going to have to just give it a default implementation. Return an empty RIT. Oh, and we have another one here too. Default implementation. These need to end with a, it just feels weird not ending a line with a semicolon, but I don't think they do actually. All right, let's try compiling again, see where that gets us now. Thanks Gleeglab for the kind words. It's Godot 4.2. Are you referring to the obsave type thing? Vector. We need to add a header somewhere, I believe. So we're, what did I hit? we're going to SG area 2D, the Godot 4 version, CPP, or it's actually included from kinematic body. And I will click this time. Tenku. It is in Godot 4. In Godot 4 as a module, and maybe it's a module thing and not a GD native thing. Since GD native, or not GD native, GDExtension is very close to the same experience as doing a module, but it is not exactly the same. Okay, so this would be Godot CPP. I'm thinking classes? No, templates. Templates, vector. All right, that should fix this one. Let's compile again. Fatal error, no such file. All right, jump over to collision object. 2D CPP Godot 4. Yeah, I hope this doesn't end up being too boring for everyone with the fact that we're just kind of like chasing down dumb errors and fixing them. Unfortunately, like a lot of development is just like, you know, I wouldn't say busy work, but not super sexy work. That is just unfortunately life. But we are hopefully going to learn some things about GDExtension along the way, and that should be fun. Okay, I'll try and get in the habit of just clicking here. So vector does not have a type name. I think that means we need to include the same include file we did before. Godot CPP templates vector. What else we got? Is that it? I think that's it for now. What's the next batch of errors here? Oh, so this get configuration warnings signature has changed, going from Godot 3 to Godot 4. I am again going to click. Man, I just keep wanting to type. It's just in my nature to want to. Something's there. I want to go type the name of it. Okay, so this used to return, or it is returning a packed string array. So that's correct. So that's the right return type. And this one's starting with an underscore. Okay, so what I think I did was I partially updated it, but I didn't update it all the way. This needs to have an underscore in front of it. It's no longer called get configuration warnings. It's underscore get configuration warnings. Incomplete type. Okay, that sounds like we forward declared this shape, but did not include the actual header with it. Although I see it right here. VS Code is also having a lot of trouble dealing with me having Godot 3 and Godot 4 source within the same workspace, and it is so confused. So I have to kind of not trust the autocomplete a little bit, and the like built-in kind of tips there. Warning was not declared in the scope. Did you mean warnings? I guess so. I guess I did mean that. Warnings. Yeah, I think what happened here was I started converting this and then stopped. Didn't catch all the little details. TRR was not declared in the scope. Is TRR in Godot CPP? And if so, or I'm sorry, TTR. TTR is a macro for declaring translatable strings. It looks like no. So how do you declare translatable strings in a GDExtension? Ricardo possibly knows the answer to this question. I can do what I do and go look at my references. Where did my references go? Oh, here they are. Yeah, I'm just in the search screen. Okay, so this is Ricardo's, and this is Fabio's. I guess I'll just see if Fabio maybe did a macro for it, or maybe he didn't ever care about translatable strings. That's also a possibility. Let's go look at, I don't know, some of these CPP files and just see if there's any strings happening. Any messages for users. I am not seeing any so far. Another way to approach this, let's kind of take a look at Godot CPP and kind of browse around in the code there and see if anything looks like it might be a collection of cool macros. We have the error macros. Don't think it would be in here though. Scroll through, kind of skimming what it is just to see. Memory class TP binder common. This is probably like the bind methods kind of stuff. Yeah, this is not going to be it. Maybe translatable strings are just not a thing in GDExtension. Maybe you're expected to do that yourself, like implement getText yourself and do that. I mean, you would definitely want translations for your extension to switch depending on the where the user switched in the editor or in game. If any of these messages were making it all the way to end users. Defs. Not much stuff in there. Let's go to the top level one, see if there's maybe no. Huh. I wonder. Let's just let's go search for like GDExtension translation or maybe even GD native translation. See what we come up with. Might be interesting to look at the Rust bindings as a reference. That seems like a thing that would be quite likely to want to show something to the developer, maybe? Maybe they define their own TTR macro? No. What actually is the TTR macro defined as in Godot? Like, what does that actually end up calling in the end? I've never looked into that. We'll get VS Code to lead us there. Come on. Take me there. Oh, do I need to put a string in it for it to recognize the types? What the heck? It seems like it's loading a definition. So we'll do define TTR. So this is in the string class? Okay, so they aren't actually macros. I assumed from the capitalization that they were macros. They're functions in uString.h. And then they're like macroed away if we're not in an editor build. Let's see if there's something around the string support. I mean, all we have is the class. I'm pretty sure these are all like auto-generated, right? Like the gen includes. String is just, it's not going to have the same stuff as uString in the engine. Well, the next step, and I'm going to type now. I should have typed in the beginning, string HPP. This is not going to give us anything good, I don't think, but let's see. When I was typing that too, I saw a different string. It was like char string from Godot CPP variant. Now, doesn't seem like what we're looking for. All right, so last thing, we're just going to look in the Godot queue, see if there's anything written about it. If not, we're just going to make the assumption that there isn't any translation. And maybe what we could do is we could define a TTR macro that does nothing, so that in the future, if we figure out how translation is done, it'll be easy to add back, as opposed to like going through and deleting all those TTRs. Let's say translation, GDExtension. I'm thinking about issues here is what I'm thinking about. Some low-level functions. Yeah, nothing here. Let's try just GD native. Just one more thing. One more thing. Maybe GD native TTR. No, seems like there isn't a thing. Seems like there isn't a thing. At least yet. But we have a way forward, which is the important thing. So where are we going to stash this? We're going to stash this macro somewhere where everything's going to get it. This is specific to the Godot bindings. Although we do have like a lot of developer strings that come out of those error macros over in the internals too. So putting it in the internals might not be the worst idea either. It's an editor specific thing, but we need to define it anyway, so probably not editor. Okay, well where is this getting called? SG collision object. I'm gonna click it. I'm gonna click it. Maybe we'll just do them one at a time for now. Default, define. I don't know that we have too much of that anyway. All right, what's next error? Godot class RID has no member is null. Seriously? It seems like a very useful method. Or is it is valid in Godot 4? Let's go check it out. Is null. Let's jump over to RID. Is valid. All right, that is going to turn out to be a very annoying replacement that we're just going to have to do everywhere. Everywhere in Godot 3 land where we have is null, it's going to have to be not is valid. Yeah, that sucks. There isn't like a... I like being able to test both positive and negative. Oh well. What's next here? A whole bunch of RID is nulls. And does ref counted still have is null? Because that's a method on ref counted as well. Let's go see. Ref counted HPP. Or I thought it was. Reference on reference. Or no, it's not ref counted, because that's like the base class. The class is reference HPP. Or maybe not HPP, but it's reference. Maybe that means templates. Templates, ref. Oh god, I don't know. I'll have to do this the other way, where we get VS Code to take us there. Find a place where it's used. Or not reference, I'm sorry, ref. Ref. Here we go. Maybe that's why I couldn't find it, because I was typing out reference instead of ref. Yeah, ref HPP. Okay, so this one, search for it, is null. Okay, so ref has is null and is valid, but RID now only has is valid. All right, new thing to file away in our knowledge about GDExtension. So where was this? This was in here. I think what we're gonna need to do, but it's gonna be hard to know because we can't just search for all the is nulls, because it's only is null and RIDs. Lame. Okay. We can do all these ones though. Is that the same one? It's the same one. Change notify. That's probably different from GDExtension as well. That's usually what you use to tell the editor that a property on your resource, I think that's specifically for resources, or is it also for nodes? But on your node or your resource has changed, so it knows to like update what it's showing in the inspector. Search for RID is null. I could. I just know that I don't always call RID RID. But that'd be a good way to start. And we already changed them. Maybe PRID is null. I sometimes name the parameters P underscore. Unfortunately, it's not helping us. All right, so we have to figure out what do we call from GDExtension to tell the editor that we have updated a property. It was always a little weird, even from a module, how this works. Let's maybe look for change notify in the actual engine and kind of see what it's calling underneath. Or it doesn't exist in Godot 4. Okay, what is that called now? And how would I figure that out? So a good way to figure it out would be to find an example of a node whose properties might change on its own, which I guess node2d. Node2d has those properties. So when you update, say, the rotation, the transform needs to update. And notify transform. Okay, I think we're getting closer. Where's it? Notify transform this notification. Okay, nope, that red herring, that did not get us where we need to go. I need to go back to here. Rotation degrees. Okay, when we set rotation degrees, it's going to set rotation, which is going to mark the X form dirty, blah, 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 blah. Rotation update transform, but this doesn't get us where we need to go eventually. Notify transform is inside tree. Notify. Oh, okay, I didn't quite catch this. This is a different method on canvas item. Is this not a thing in Godot 4 anymore? That you don't have to tell the editor that a property is updated? See what Ricardo is linking us here. Send this over to remove change notify property. Oh, Juan took that out of there. Cool. For inspector refresh, the inspector now detects if a property has changed by polling a few times per second, and then does update the control if so. This process is very cheap. For property list refresh, a new signal, property list changed, was added to object. Change notify is replaced by notify property list changed. Change all objects using the old method to the signal, or deleted the calls to change notify since they are no longer necessary. I am going to very, very retroactively thumbs up that. I am happy with that change. Cool. So we just don't need to do that anymore. That's awesome. Goodbye, change notify. We might be able to clean up some other code that did some funky things to make change notify work. I know that we did, or at least I think we did, have some issues with like circular, like notification loops, where like we would notify that something changed when we changed it, which would then notify that the other thing had changed and just go around in a circle. So let's first just see if we can find them all. So SG Physics 2D, Godot 4. Cool. We have a lot of these we can remove. Man. Thank you, Juan, for many things, but that one thing right now. Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's like a flag somewhere in fixed node 2D that specifically exists to prevent those like change notify loops. But we're not real worried about refactoring at this point. Like I said, we just want to get it to run, and then we can Godot 4-ize it, like make it actually feel like Godot 4. Next. Hey, Winfrey, welcome to the stream. I like your character. You kind of look like a fisherman. For some reason, I picture you as a fisherman with that hat and the like a old guy sitting by a pond in a medieval village. Change notify, be gone. Yeah, I wonder about the emit changed thing too. Do we still have to do that? That's a thing specific to resources, that resources always emit this specific signal to let the things using those resources know that they have changed. I expect that'll still be a thing. How is the refactoring going? Pretty good, I think. You know, not the most interesting work, but you know, the last 2 streams working on an actual game was fun, but I just haven't had my head in that game. Like, this is really what I've been thinking about with Godot 4 releasing so soon. I really want to get as much of my stuff moved over. I don't want to have to be dipping too much into Godot 3. Man, there's too much things in this terminal. Let's rebuild here. Quite a lot of errors here. Get to the top. What's the top error? Pool vector 2 array. I guess that probably has changed. Oh, it's like packed array or something. Let's jump over to SG collision polygon 2D. I bet it's packed. Come on, VS Code. VS Code, can you help me out here? All right, what do we got to do to get these macros to complete? This is probably well, hang on, we can search for it. We can search in Godot CPP for D method, but we want the define. Oops, I keep typing default instead of define. It's weird things. Or not. All right. Well, there was some headers named like binding. So say core binder common, maybe. Binder common. It could also be that you do these a little bit differently from GDExtension. Let's just search for D method to see if it's in there at all. Godot CPP. No. Yes. Oh, okay. So we do have D method. It's in class DB HPP. I didn't quite catch what the path was. Core. Okay. Class DB. I don't know whether this is what you're looking for or not, but I found this TRR usage for Godot 4 extension. Interesting. Let's check it out. Thanks for searching. All right, AI editor plugin. What is this? Misaka AI. Godot 4 game AI editor and runtime that supports some stuff. I don't know what it is, but it does look like a GDExtension, at least the way that it's being compiled. Or, I mean, I guess this could be a module as well. Oh, it's a module. Godot automatically involves this module and builds into, yeah. So this is not a GDExtension, it's a module. So it's getting TRR from the core engine. I mean, thanks for trying to find something though. I mean, this is the primary way that I figure out how new undocumented things work. All right, let's jump back into it. This should have fixed our thing. No instance overload method matches the argument list. All right, what are the arguments? This seems like it should match, right? This template with just any kind of args. Takes a name. The argument names. Hang on, no, this is getting weird. No, it should be this one. This one is not, has no other arguments. D method. Maybe that's a leftover message from a previous compile attempt. VS Code is weird about that sometimes. And now we're still back down to the pool vector array thing. All right. Oh, but I was hoping it would autocomplete for me. Packed. Why won't you autocomplete VS Code? I hate this. Variant is ambiguous. All right. Core, I think probably, or no. Variant. Is variant no longer ambiguous? Oh, because it's still seeing the Godot 3 classes over here. I might just cheat and move those Godot 3 classes out of the source tree for a little while, just to make life easier. I think ultimately what I'll probably end up doing is having two separate VS Code workspaces for working on the Godot 3 and Godot 4 version, so that I can come up with some combination of settings that works right for which version I'm actually like actively working on at the time. I think that might end up being the way to manage it. Okay, Godot 3. No, this isn't what I want to move, although that would be good too. What I was actually wanting to move was in the build directory, this Godot 3. Let's just move you, let's say, into my default projects, SG Physics 2D Godot 3. I'll just drop that there for a little while. I gave up searching for it. Probably actually doesn't exist in GDNative. Yeah, Winfrey, I know that it's oh, so like thank you for looking up the exact string, but like I just want VS Code to autocomplete these for me, and I'm like stuck on this. Please autocomplete for me, Rampage, because I don't want to have to like know all of these. All right, I think it's looking at the right thing. Packed, please. Oh. Why won't you look it up for me? It would be so good. You know that this is the class. You jump me right here. Oh well. I will just type it from Winfrey's suggestion here. Okay. Scones away. Validate cache, maybe. It's like, it's working real inconsistently. I don't want to mess around with it too much on stream because it's a VS Code configuration stream. Doesn't sound like very, very titillating viewing. All right, engine singleton has not been declared. Okay, so the purpose of this code is we want to draw our debug collision shapes if this editor hint is enabled. Is this something that that you did, Ricardo, in your box2D GDExtension. I'll make these separate windows so it's easier to find. Or I guess you wouldn't need to, right? Because it's the nodes that draw the debug collision shapes, and you're just implementing a alternate physics server, so it would never need to do that. I'm still just gonna quick grep in here to see if you're making any references to engine. Nope. All right. Let's see if this is exposed to GDExtension or not. We should be making a list. Let's make a list, guys. A list of things that we are of missing things in GDExtension that we're encountering that we can make proposals for in the Godot issue queue, or maybe even PRs to add them later. But like just keeping a list of things that we need but can't seem to find, I think would be good. So this is GDExtension. Hang on, I'll move it over. Missing pieces. I'll move it over to the screen that you guys are seeing. So the first was TTR and a way to have translatable strings, and then I don't know if this will turn out to be a missing thing, but access to the flag to show debug collision shapes. Android Studio, not my favorite IDE to work in. Is Godot able to do physics containers? Is there a way, for example, Star Citizen works with ship interiors versus the ship in space on a planet? So, yes. In Godot, are those spaces? So like different physics engines call these different things. In SG Physics 2D, we call it a world. It's like a fully independent physics environment. And you can say these particular objects and shapes exist in this world and these other shapes exist in this world, even if they're like co-located in like physical coordinates. Godot has spaces, but I don't know if they mean this. They might mean something different. And then areas can also be used to like, I think still be in the same space, but modify like some physics parameters when objects exist in that space. But I guess the short version is yes, this is accounted for somehow, but I don't recall the details. Ricardo might know, because Ricardo's like deep in the physics engine all the time. How much nicer is Godot 4's GDExtension compared to making modules in Godot 3? So the goal for GDExtension is to make it a same experience. And by the way, welcome to the stream, Sigma AX. You got a sweet looking orc. The goal for GDExtension is to make it be the same developer experience as making modules in Godot 3. I wouldn't say that Godot 4 GDExtension is nicer than making modules in Godot 3. If GDExtension is doing its job right, it is just as good as making a module in Godot 3 or Godot 4. In Godot 3, however, we have GD native, and in my personal opinion, GD native is a pain, and I don't like working in it. So making modules is better, and if GDExtension can be the same developer experience as making a module, then GDExtension will be objectively better than GD native. But it should, at best, be the same as making a module, if that makes any sense. I probably explained that terribly. That'd be really nice, but are they mobile? I mean, can they move through space, or are they static volumes? Worlds are not volumes at all. They're just like a completely different physics space. And there's no reason that you couldn't move them or move all of the shapes in them. Maybe you would choose not to. Maybe it would be easier to have one world kind of be stationary and define the rules for another thing that's moving. I don't know, there's probably a lot of different ways to do that. What's your take on Nakama? Any good? I've tried it a bit, but it feels limited. So I really like Nakama. I've used it in a number of projects, and I think it's. I mean, it's not a secret that I also maintain the Nakama client for Godot, and I am hired from Heroic Labs to do that. So like a lot of the Nakama info out there is from me, and I like it. I like it a lot. It does not handle all situations, all use cases perfectly, and you may find other tools might be better suited to your specific game or case. I think particularly if you are looking to do well, that's not necessarily true either. I was gonna say if you're looking to do dedicated servers, maybe it does less for you, but that's not true. I don't know. It's a great tool. I love Nakama. But as all things, like evaluate your specific needs and find the tool that best lines up with those needs. What was I doing? I don't even know. I don't know. We were making a list. Oh, and then we were trying to find the flag to show debug collision shapes. But yeah, guys, like definitely ask me random questions. I love just chatting as well. Don't worry about distracting me too much. I'm an insanely distractible person. You are not really making that any worse. Let's see. So we need to step 1. Let's see where this is in just Godot 4 normally. In the engine source code, which I think this is just Godot 4 engine. Yep. So let's go see if this is still in the engine singleton. And I forget the name of the actual method. Okay, let's go back to what the is editor hint, blah, blah, blah. Oh, is debugging collision hint. That's actually on the tree. It's not on the editor, on the engine singleton. But there has to be some other way to determine if we're in the editor in GDExtension, right? So let's search for is editor hint. Ooh, okay. Looks like we do get an engine singleton. That's beautiful. So we just have to include Godot CPP, and was that classes, I think? Engine. All right. And let's alphabetize these quick because it just annoys me having to order. Come on! Four times in a row of me hitting the wrong button. What am I hitting wrong here? There we go. Sort. Okay. All right, so we were looking at this engine singleton editor hint. Okay, so that should be right. Pointer to incomplete class scene tree. That just means we need to have the include for the scene tree. Scene tree. And oh, I thought that fixed a whole bunch of our errors. It did not. It just hid them. But this one looks good now. Is debugging collision hint? So it might be exactly the same. Let's just take a peek at scene tree and say, yeah, cool. It was just a matter of not having the right headers. But otherwise, the code need not change. Beautiful. Next error. Wow, that's a lot of stuff. Or no, I think I scrolled too far. Let's clear this. Clear. What's the... I'll just wipe it out, start a new one. Okay. So, get tree, get debug collisions color. So the hint is there, but perhaps we don't have access to the color. Is that just not a thing anymore? Debug collision color. Let's see if it is or is not in the engine. No, there is a debug collisions color. Collisions hint and debug collisions color. We don't have it here. Huh. All right, it's going on the list. Scene tree. Scene tree, get debug collisions color. All right. So what are we going to do for the interim? We'll just pick a color, I guess. Get debug collisions color. And I guess we'll, hang on. We will add maybe like a to-do, get access to the collision, or to the debug collision color from GDExtension. And we'll just put a color in here. It will be blue. Why are the headers HPP? Never seen that. So HPP is a normal header extension for C++. I don't particularly like it. I think it's an ugly looking extension. But for whatever reason, Godot CPP uses HPP for its headers. I don't know if that was perhaps to distinguish between the C API and the C++ API. I actually am not, I don't know a lot about how GDExtension works in Godot 4, because I haven't spent a lot of time digging into the internals, but in Godot 3 at least, GDNative had a C API, and then it had Godot CPP that built a C++ API on top of that. So I think it was like the .h ones were the C versions, and the .hpp ones were the C++ versions. Yeah. Otherwise, I mean, it's a normal extension for C++, but not always used. Cannot convert. Color is ambiguous. What do you mean color is ambiguous? What is the constructor here? Hey, they're doing this. Why can't I do it? This might just be like a VS Code being weird thing. I'm gonna try compiling and see what we actually get. It sucks not being able to rely on VS Codes like squiggles and all that stuff. Cannot convert vector Godot vector 2 to packed vector 2 array. What? At least in the engine, a vector of vector 2's is exactly the same as a packed vector 2 array. Are they different in this context? I guess that's fine. It's fine if they're different, if we have to declare that as packed vector 2 array, or packed vector 2 array. Yeah, I said the right thing. So let's get to polygon, and we can just change this to packed vector 2 array. And now that TR is not accessible, even including uString doesn't work. Yeah, so that the goal for GDExtension is to be as close as possible to making a Godot module, but it is not exactly the same. and it probably won't ever be exactly the same. So there is no uString.h. Instead, ooh, I've been bringed. Thank you, anonymous bringer. There is no uString.h. There is a string.hpp for the string class, but it doesn't contain all the same things as uString.h. So yeah, I mean yeah, it's just not 100% the same as making a module. Close, but not 100% the same. Okay, let's dig back in here. We have got man, I hate seeing all these messages and having them just not be true. Let's see what we get when we actually compile here. Godot array has no member get. All right, so we need to be doing the whatever operator. There is no dot right because that's like a vector thing. That's not a packed array thing, at least from the bindings perspective. Jeez. Okay, what? Where am I in this terminal? Where am I? All right, so here we go. Fixed polygon.get. Let's jump over here. This is now. There's some weirdness in GDExtension with const reference parameters. It looks like the difference there was constness. Interesting. You're talking about the vector versus packed vector array. So I actually thought they might be different things because the vector is a template and packed vector to array is like from the binding, right? I might be thinking about this weird though. One way or another, changing the type did fix it. Changing its type to packed vector to array. So polygon.right, this is over on this line. We no longer have this dot right thing from GDExtension. We still do have it in C++ and Godot form, or inside the engine in Godot form. What is this here? Update configuration warning. Maybe underscore? Maybe not. So this would be on node, I think. Let's go look at node HPP. See configuration warning. What other methods do we have? We have get configuration warning. Update configuration warnings with an S. Warnings with an S. There we go. What else have we got? Get rid of these get methods. I'm honestly not sure why I used .get here. Even in a module in Godot 3, like it would have been totally fine to use the brackets operator, but I don't know. I was feeling very verbose at the time. Get rid of all these gets. Okay, so we have the two different types thing here. Polygon equals polygon. We need to change this to packed vector to array, which means we'll need to change the declaration as well. Packed vector to array. Tengu, seems like the autocomplete is borked. No, the autocomplete is borked because of my project. It's not a problem with GDExtension. So my project has both Godot 3 and Godot 4 code mixed together, and I am sure that if I spent the time configuring VS Code, I could get it to do something sane. But right now it just isn't. it's getting confused when it sees a class that has the same name in Godot 3 and Godot 4 and doesn't know where to look for it. It is something that I definitely need to fix for my own personal sanity at some point, but for now, I don't want to be trying to configure VS Code on stream, so we're just gonna deal with it. We're gonna soldier on. All right, let's try compiling again. Ooh, package vector 2? What am I typing? Packed vector 2. Ooh, a file compiled. We have moved on from SG collision object 2D CPP to exactly where we were. In member function, arrays no member get. All right, this is another get rid of the get and replace it with the brackets operator. Update was not declared in the scope. What is that about? Okay, did this change its name? I vaguely recall this being different. Or is it like update draw or redraw or something? Because this changed in the engine too. Let's go look at, is this on canvas item? Oop, nope, hang on. Canvas item H draw, it's called by, you know, the docs can actually answer this for us. We don't need to be searching around the code. We can go to Godot docs. Let's go to the latest branch. And if we look for draw, it should tell us right here. Q redraw. It is no longer called update, it is called Q redraw. I ran into that when I was working on something else earlier. Q redraw. So we may have some other instances of that. We can search the code, not in Godot CPP, but in source SG physics 2D Godot 4. Oh yeah, we have a whole bunch of instances of that. We can replace those. Q redraw. Oh, I guess that already was a new one. Q redraw. Hit my magic Vim keys when they decide to work. I don't know if anyone else uses the Vim extension for VS Code, but it seems like it's been getting real flaky lately. Like undo has basically mostly stopped working for me using the Vim keys for it. I have to stoop down to pressing Control Z, which is weird. That and like the command, the key I was just using there was the period to repeat the last edit that I'd just done. That also has been not working sometimes. It's been frustrating. All right. What do we got next? Collision polygon, no declaration matches. Oh, okay, yep, because I changed the signature of this to be packed vector to array. Or wait, no, is it packed vector to array? Or is it array? Okay, no, it's fixed polygon. Okay, so normal polygon is packed vector to array. Fixed polygon is array. And update configuration warnings. I guess we can search for this one too. We might use it in a couple other places. Update configuration warning. Oh, okay, we must have already replaced the two instances of it. Polygon class, collision polygon defined here in member. Set collision polygon error, update configuration warning was not, okay, yep, we got that one. Get configuration warning. All right, here we need to change this in Godot 4. It no longer is get configuration warning, it's get configuration warnings. And it returns a packed string array. And I feel like I should type override here, but that might mess things up if I haven't been doing it consistently above, but we'll type it, see what happens. See, I'm pressing U, and it's not undoing. Press Control Z like a schmuck. All right, packed string array. Get configuration warnings. Packed string array warnings equals parent class get configuration warnings. Place these plus signs with just push back. Now we have a proper array going here. Oop, it needs to be warnings. Warnings. All right, so the only thing we need to do now is this TRR, which for now we're just defining into oblivion every time it comes up, but I need a better plan for that ultimately. What is the downside of packed string array rather than regular array string? There's no downside. So the difference is that an array is a linked list and a packed string array is a vector. If you're familiar with like the like STL types like vector and list, so the array is what gets used in GDScript when you're making like a normal array, and yeah, array in GDScript is linked list. At least I'm 90% sure it is. Should we go verify that? Array core variant. Array private will have the actual data, I am sure. So let's dig into there. Array private. Or no. Am I wrong? Am I wrong about it being a linked list? I think I might be wrong. It is a vector of variance. Have I always been wrong about this? Let's go look in Godot 3. Okay, so then I guess the difference is that arrays hold variance. and yeah, I was wrong always. Wow. Well, so there is still a difference. Arrays hold variance, which are always 20 bytes, right? Or at least in Godot 3 they were 20 bytes, unless I'm wrong about that. How many things am I wrong about? My world is falling apart. But variants are this big multifunction structure, whereas the vector types, the packed string array, just hold the raw underlying type. So that's the difference, I think, unless I'm wrong again. If someone else thinks has the real information, please share it. Oh man. Okay. Let's get back to work here. See what we're getting wrong here. Get configuration warnings virtual marked override does not override. Oh, because it now has an underscore. Good thing I added that override. I wouldn't have caught this. Get configuration warnings. Okay. Should be good now. Some more TRR. Oh, TTR. I do this like nonstop, and I constantly think it's TRR when it's TTR. The joys of streaming. I get to be wrong publicly in front of many people, and it will be perpetually saved on the internet till the end of time. I think we just don't need that header. Although we probably need some other headers. Oh no, we do, because we're actually accessing the engine singleton here. All right, okay. CPP core engine, I thought. No, I guess classes. And we need all the binding stuff. which was in, I think, core class DB. Let's give this a shot. Okay, incomplete class. Okay, we need scene tree. Scene tree. Oh, and that's in classes. And we will alphabetize, hopefully without me mistyping it a million times. There we go. Let's recompile. All right, what do we got? Get collision debug color. That is, again, let's just copy and paste the comment that I put last time. Get debug collisions color. And we made it be blue. There we go. And I guess we do this again. I guess for raycasts. We'll copy all this again. Okay, we should have that handled everywhere. All right, now some stuff with signals. As we all know, signals have changed in Godot 4. And I actually do not have a lot of experience connecting and disconnecting signals from C++. It's not something I've done very much. I think you do callable this, something like this. SG collision shape 2D like that. Is that a thing I can do? Is that how this works? Oh, and then the signal too. Do I do that with a string, or is there a non-string way to do that now? Yeah, I'm probably doing this totally wrong. How do callables work? Where is the constructor? Okay, so object string name method. Oh, do we still have to bind them? I bet we have to bind them when we do it from GDExtension. Maybe in C++ land we can just take an address, but I think we have to still bind them from a GDExtension. I'm guessing. My understanding is the stream is adapting SGPhysics 2D to Godot 4. That's work in progress. Oh, hey, Russ Matney, welcome to the stream. You got a pretty cool character. You got a sweet helmet, the studded armor, the shield. Looking good there, my friend. Oh, and I totally missed Quip. I totally missed your comment. And I think I may have forgotten to also welcome you to the stream. Welcome to the stream. Hey, Snowpeck, I am developing a multiplayer game that requires a shared simulation because of bandwidth limitations. I've looked at your SGPhysics 2D and I have a few questions. Does your module support Godot 4, and what limitations come with using SGPhysics 2D? So it does not currently support Godot 4. We are working on that right now. Just as Russ Matney said. There are a number of limitations with SGPhysics 2D. I mean, first of all, it's 2D, does not support 3D. It uses fixed point math, which is definitely lower precision than floating point math, but it is deterministic across any platform. You can get floating point math to work deterministically, but there's like a whole bunch of caveats, and it will generally be a little bit slower than using them just as they are, because you have to disable like compiler optimizations and stuff. And then there's also a size limitation, which this limitation is explained on the GitLab README. Because I don't remember the exact numbers, but there is a point beyond which the numbers start to overflow. So yeah, so here's talking about the smallest fractional amount that can be represented, which is pretty small, but like when you're doing different calculations, that isn't quite small enough in some cases. And where do I talk about the size limit? Here we go. So we can theoretically represent numbers between this range with this fixed point format, but in practice you can't really. If you're going to do math on any of those vectors, it will overflow unless you stay within this range. So it basically means that your game world has to exist between negative 3,000 pixels and positive 3,000 pixels on both the X and Y direction. Otherwise, you'll start hitting overflows. So I think that covers the main limitations. Where was I? I was doing something with Godot, I think, right? Okay, so I think that we have to do this still with strings from GDExtension land. Yeah, for callable, the method needs to be bound currently, and a while ago you couldn't even call them. Eesh. But I added a callv method to fix that. Still not optimal. Thanks for clarification. Since using Godot 4, I'll definitely try your extension when it's ready. Yeah, I don't think it'll be too much longer till it works. I was hoping to have it be done before the end of January. We'll see if that happens. I'm reasonably hopeful. No instance of constructor callable matches argument list. Ooh, thank you. 2 brings in one day. Is there a way to see who does that? Like, do I have to be signed into Twitch or something? Because I'm like multi-streaming to so many different services, I'm actually only logged into like a couple of them at once. Like if I'm logged into like my dashboard on Twitch, can I see who has been bringing me? It sucks like just being like, thank you, person whose name I don't know who you are. It sucks like just whoa. Like, thank you, person whose name. Okay, I'm in Twitch. I need to get out of here. Whoa. All right, I think I'm in the right place. Stream manager. So are those follows? I guess Quip, TPXJZ, and Barkonen have followed me. Oh, but the only ones in the past couple minutes were just those 2 people. So that's got to be what it is. So thank you, Quip. Thank you, or Quiyip, however you pronounce that, and TPXJZ. Awesome. I will try. I will leave the Twitch thing open. Okay. So what am I doing wrong here? Do I need to do a string name? Do I need to explicitly do a string name? Object. String name. Let's try that. Or is that VS Code just being dumb? It could just be VS Code being dumb. I'm gonna try removing it and recompile and see if VS Code. Oh my God. See if that's just VS Code being silly. It is just VS Code being silly because now it is taking us to the connect line. So callable. All right, that is relatively easy to port. This is good practice for when I'm going to be doing this with my rollback add-on. I don't know if everyone here is aware of my Godot rollback netcode add-on and my plan for it with Godot 4 is I'm going to port it to C++ for Godot 3 and then port the C++ version to Godot 4. What's this? Fixed node 2D? I don't know if we actually need the engine. Actually, hang on. We'll start off doing just removing it and see what we get errors on so we can see what we actually need. What we actually need is norm return type value of transform 2D. Unused result. Okay, that sounds like yeah, it's a warning. Okay, that's not fatal. Call to global transform cons declared here. It's declared here. There was attribute. I'm so confused what it is complaining to me about. Notify transform. Set notify transform. No, I'm pretty sure I meant notify transform. Okay, so how do I call notify transform from GDExtension? So this is, I think, on any node, right? Let me just verify in the Godot 4 source code is Godot 4, right? This one's Godot 3. I have too many windows open. I can't see what anything is. Yeah, okay, this one's Godot 3, this one's Godot 4. Let's go to node. Take me to node.h, please. Thank you. And notify transform. No, I guess not. So it's transform something. It might be on. No, it won't be on node. It would be on either node 2D or canvas item. Let's try canvas item. Notify transform. Okay, notify transform. Which I think is what I'm intending to call, though it's weird that it takes an argument. Is it static? No, why does it take an argument? Okay, where are we calling this? What are we trying to do? What is the goal here? So our transform has changed. So what we want to do is tell Godot that next time around, we want to update it. So what does this do? This sets global invalid to true. Notify transform if notify transform and xform change in list. Block transform notify is inside tree. Xform change list add. Loops over all of its children and then also notifies transform on them. I just don't know why this takes an argument. It's so weird. And repropagating the transform notification down the tree under any nodes. It provides optimization by avoiding redundancy. Nodes are dirty and will get notified. Anyway. Here's an idea. We will go to somewhere in here. This has set position on it, right? Or is that in node 2D? Okay, we'll go to node 2D. We'll see what the engine is doing for node 2Ds. And we will copy it. We'll do the same thing. Set position. All right, so if xform dirty, blah, 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 update xform values, update transform takes us to this. This is the method. This is the method we want to call. Notify transform. Okay, so this is like a little inline helper method, which I'm sure is not exposed to GDExtension, which ultimately calls notify transform this, which is the canvas item one we were just looking at, and then also sends some stuff, sends a notification. So how are we going to emulate this? We could write our own little version of it. Hey, Nikki, Mike, Meek. Good evening. Welcome to the stream. You are rocking a sweet helmet, a dress, and a little shield. Looking good there, my friend. So what are we gonna do? I think we probably need to implement our own version of this. The question is, will we be able to do all these things though? Can we call this method? I'm sure we can send a notification. But how do we propagate this down? Well, let's go back here and see what we're doing again. So our fixed xform is dirty, which means what? we want to later update the floating point transform. You know, I think we might have to save updating this until after we have it running, because I think we might have to implement the way that this works completely differently. So we have a scheme where you can update the fixed point transform as many times as you want during a frame, and then at the very end of the frame, right before we start drawing, we update the floating point transform. And we do that in a specific way, calling a bunch of different like internal methods on Node2D, which we don't have access to from GDExtension. So yeah, we might just need to re-implement this. Figure out how to re-implement this from GDExtension. Okay, so we'll move on from there. It is interesting. Why are we calling a method and then not taking its value? Like, why are we doing that? I mean, well, first of all, this is not following normal Godot coding style here. So let me just quick fix that. I have a feeling we might be calling this to like trigger some kind of thing internal to nodes to happen. But just to make the compiler happy, let's do transform 2D t equals this, and maybe we'll get an unused variable warning, but ignoring return value if declared with attribute notice card. Are you expert bro in Godot? Am I an expert bro? I mean, okay, so I probably can qualify as an expert in Godot, not like as expert as some people, but I am a Godot maintainer. I'm on the XR team. I maintain the WebXR module, and I have a whole bunch of like random add-ons and stuff. We're working on SGPhysics 2D, which is a deterministic physics engine for Godot. I have the Godot rollback netcode add-on, probably some other stuff I'm forgetting about. And I do various Godot work professionally. So I think that probably makes me air quotes expert. But yeah, there's certainly plenty of people who are much more expert than me. But I can do what I can do, which is some stuff. Okay, so where are we here? Call to here. So where's the bit that's actually our code? The bit that's actually our code is this. Okay, well, we'll do the same little thing here to make the compiler happy. Transform 2D t equals that. All right, now another include thing. Ooh, I think we've moved on to a new file. So that finished sgfixed node 2D CPP. We are now moving on to sgfixed position 2D. Which, yeah, again, I don't know what engine's being used for, so we'll just get rid of that and see what happens. That reminds me, I think we might have left a commented out bit of junk. Yep, we left this up here. We'll get rid of that. I'm expert bro. I'm an expert bro. I just like the idea of crushing those together as being like, well, whatever. It's a dumb joke. I've watched your series about voxel. Did you finish it? No, I got distracted by a whole bunch of things. I started doing work for W4 Games, which has eaten up like way more time than I used to. I used to have a kind of a surplus of time. I was underbooked, and now I am ever so slightly overbooked. And so a lot of my projects have kind of gotten pushed aside. the voxel one was one of them. Like all this stuff on the rollback and SGPhysics 2D also got kind of pushed to the side for several months. I'm kind of just getting back into them after not working on them for 3 or 4 months. But yeah, I want to finish the voxel thing. Actually, like the main thing on my mind is I would love to port it to Godot 4 since it's not very far along anyway. And I think like struggling with meshing in that particular project, I made it a little too flexible. You could have non-square voxels, you could have voxels that take up multiple grid spaces and all of these things. And that's cool. I would love to implement that and play a game that included those features, but it also was really just hard. So I think I might start that project over in Godot 4 and just make voxels be voxels with no non-square voxels, no different sized voxels, although maybe the different sized voxel thing is okay. Like that wasn't that bad. The non-square voxels thing though, like really made things hard. But yeah, I don't know when I'll find time to go back to that project. But I am very excited about getting there one day. I got cancer after trying to make voxel-like Minecraft, bruh, aren't you? I'm not entirely sure what you're saying. If you are literally saying that you at some point got diagnosed with cancer, that is terrible news. But I'm not sure what you were trying to say there, my friend. Okay, so what is the error here? SGPhysics. Okay, so we do actually need the engine class, the engine singleton. Include Godot CPP classes engine there. Let's compile that. Oh, and guys, it's getting real close. So I am gonna have to bail at like 10:55 my time. That's in like 3 minutes because I do have a meeting like right at 11. And I need to like go to the bathroom and like get a glass of water or something. So I need those 5 minutes. I'm actually gonna be chatting with Juan and Fabio about this PR for Godot that I'm excited to finally get merged, but for doing a dedicated server export. Not issue. I want a PR. Is that included in issues? Okay, now I have a better way to get this. Pull requests. Yeah, maybe I'll just talk about this for a couple minutes before I go. Actually, hang on. Let's commit what we've done today. Wow, we changed a lot of files. All right, so let's just commit what we've worked on today. We'll say got closer to getting it to compile finally. Or not finally, eventually maybe. Got it closer to getting it to compile. Let's push this up. And then let's jump over to this PR. PR is open by DSnowpeck. I should only have, ooh, yeah, this one's kind of fallen away. I should probably get back to that eventually, but it's the only active PR that I've got going right now. So in Godot 3, we had like the server build, which was like a headless build that only ran on Linux. We're going to do it a different sort of way in Godot 4, where any build can be run headless. There's a command line option for it. But this PR is to add like a dedicated server mode, which will make the exported game always run headless, and you can strip assets from it. So even though we had the dedicated server template, you still needed to yourself remove all the assets from it that you didn't need. Like if you had a game that was like 20 gigs of assets and you wanted to run that on a server, you didn't need those assets. You're not rendering the visuals of the game, but this allows you to strip the assets out automatically, replace them with placeholders. And yeah, it'll be awesome to be able to get that in. I hope we'll be able to get it in for 4.0 stable. If not, it will be a 4.01 or 4.1 thing. Anyway, yeah, I gotta get running, man. Or not man, many humans of many genders, undetermined, because I don't know, we're all internet beings. So thanks everyone for coming. I hope you all have a great weekend. And yeah, if you're not on the Discord, there's a link down here somewhere. Come hang out. And oop, there goes my backup alarm for if I forgot about disconnecting. And yeah, thanks again, everyone. I will talk to you later. Bye-bye.